Hi everyone, this is Niladri. Welcome to the session 15 of Project Management Professional Training Series. So in session 15, we are going to talk about types of cost, which is the final topic regarding cost. And then we are going to step into a fresh topic called resource management, which we are going to do in two sessions. So in this one, I'm going to talk about the definition of the resource in a project, followed by the responsibilities of the project manager when it comes to resources, the way to build a team, and finally, the different kind of conflict or the reasons of conflict in a team. And then the next session, we are going to talk about how to resolve those conflicts and finally talk about the different motivational theories which are used in team building. Okay, so step into types of cost, a very short and quick topic, but I wanted to do this because this is something which can come up in the exam if you're lucky and will be very easy for you to fetch the marks. Um, I haven't included this in the core cost module because there I wanted you to have the flow of scope followed by time and then followed by cost and how to calculate the budget. But in the types of cost, let's have a quick look. What are the different types of cost in a project? So we have got five types like direct, indirect, fixed, variable, and sunk cost. So direct cost is something where the cost is directly linked to a project. So let's say your resource cost in the project. One, if they are permanent employees to the company, then you definitely know what is the fixed cost of that and a fixed cost, and that's a direct cost as well. Okay. And finally, if you are purchasing or if you're going to use any hardware or software license for the project, these are the things which are direct cost to the project. Now, if these are the direct, then what is the indirect cost? Indirect cost is something where it is not directly linked to the project, which means that let's say you have got a building which is being leased out or rented out for your team to sit and work together. That rent or lease which you are paying out to the builder or the landlord, that is not a part of the cost which you're going to bill the customer, right? That's definitely a cost to the project, but it's an indirect cost. It's not a cost or a direct cost which is linked to that particular project, because you can use that building to run multiple teams and to run multiple projects at one time, right? And those multiple projects can be lined up for multiple clients. Okay. So big companies and corporates, they will be having their own buildings, their own infra. Smaller startups and all that, they probably will be having a rented setup, or they will be going to a place like, let's say, WeWork or CoreWorks, where they will be renting out the seat, and based on that, the team will be in one space aligned, and they will work on the project. Now, these are the costs which you are not going to bill to the customer, right? Because the customer is going to only pay the cost which are directly linked to the project. A common question comes up is that what is travel cost? Now, travel cost is something which is direct cost to the project if already been discussed with the customer, and most of the time in the beginning, uh, when the cost is being drafted, the travel cost, a little bit of training cost, these are always to be considered in the budget of the project. Okay, because at times your team might be geographically not in the same place, and you would like your team to all of them fly to one location and sit in one big workshop and go through the planning of the project or the different kind of the burn down charts to check how the performance is going and so on, right? So that will really bring a lot of effectiveness into the project velocity. Okay, now those kind of the things, they are the direct cost of the project. Now then, what's the indirect cost? Let's say in traveling, it's not essentially required by the client or asked by the client, but probably one of your workers is in a remote location. Okay. And once in every month, they have to come to your office in the urban scale, let's say in Bangalore. The person is in Mysore, maybe, which is a little bit far away from Bangalore. They have to travel to office once in a month to ensure they are synced with the team and they are kind of up to speed with what the team is doing. Now that will not be a direct cost to the project. Okay, it depends on the resource skill as well. If the resource skill is rare, then probably that is something which you want to build to that particular client. So it depends sometimes, but indirect costs are the ones which basically are the cost of the lighting, heating, the physical infrastructure, the rental of the building, and so on. All right, now let's come to fixed cost. Fixed cost is something where, let's say you are hiring a person who is a permanent employee to your company. So you basically know the cost of the resource, right? You know the entire cost of the resource for the next 6 months or 1 year and all that, and that will be billed to the client, right? So these are the fixed cost when it comes to, let's say, a permanent kind of thing, which is not going to change in the future. Okay. Also, let's say you are going to a project management in a consulting company or a consultation company for IT infra. And there the company is telling that, okay, we can give you one resource to do the consultancy services for your project. And this is the billable charge for that resource. So you get a fixed kind of a contract for the consultancy services for the entire duration of the project. And that will be termed as a fixed cost. Now, variable cost is something where your employees who are going to join into your project, maybe they are on contract. Okay, so maybe they are on the yellow batches or a green batch. So what happens here? I mean, here is that maybe you have taken them on a contract of 6 months to 1 year, and end of the 6 month or 1 year, when you go to renew the contract because you need them more, that point of time the pricing might not be same. The resource cost or the headcount cost will not be the same because of the demand in the market for those skills, or might be for inflation and so on. So anything which is kind of fluctuating and not permanent for the long run will be termed as a variable cost in the project. Okay, I hope I'm clear, right? So these costs are very simple terms. I will ask you to go through your hard book as well, just to have a reading of them: the direct cost, then indirect and fixed, and the variable, right? They're very, very simple. Now let's come to sunk cost. Sunk cost means where the money is gone. Okay, there is no way to recover the money. So let's say that a company has got a project to develop a product. Okay. Now, the budget for the project was, let's say, 50,000 US dollar. Just a rough number I'm giving, right? Now, out of the 50,000 US dollar, maybe in the first 5 months or 6 months rather, uh, the team has spent uh, close to 30,000 of the US dollar. Okay. But at the end of the 6 month, the PM, with the kind of the data he has got, he has found out that this product will not do good in the market because the competitor would have like released something or some bugs in the product and so on, or some regulations there. This product will not do good in the market and will not give you any return of investment. So that point of time, it takes a lot of courage for the PM to walk up to the sponsor and the key holders and say that, we have spent close to $30,000, but I think it's good to terminate the project right now because we are not going to get any return of investment on the project. Now, why this is a courageous step? Because most of the time, in a project, the project manager or the sponsor or the key stakeholder, they all will be pretty much inclined to see the completion of the project, right? They all want to complete the project. Put a check mark there. Okay. So they may say that we already have spent 30,000. Why not spend 20,000 more and complete the project, right? But that's when the decision has to be very fine tuned, that our decision for the future should not be dependent on the money we have lost in the past. Just because I have spent X amount of money don't mean that I have to spend Y amount in the future to ensure the project is completed when it's not going to give you any return of investment. So these kind of the money which we have spent in the past, but for that we are not going to, that's not going to influence the decision to terminate the project, is called a sunk cost. Sunk cost is that the money is gone. It's all right, it's okay, but that should not be influencing the decision to uh, go ahead and terminate the project. Okay. So that's all about the cost types. They are very simple. In the exam, the questions can be like a use cases there, and you probably have to say that, this particular cost is what kind of a cost. Okay. The questions can be a little bit tricky at times when it comes to travel cost, when it comes to training cost. Just be sure that you have read the use case very carefully, because travel cost and training cost can be a indirect cost. Can be a fixed cost. Okay, or sometimes can be a variable cost as well. It depends on the nature, what was the use case in the beginning of the project, and what happened in the middle of the project, right? So know that very carefully, like what the question has to say to you, and accordingly you can put a check mark. But don't go with a closed mind that a travel cost is always a kind of an indirect cost, or it's always a kind of a variable cost and all that stuff. Okay, a travel cost is normally a direct cost as well, because if the client and the customer both have agreed in the beginning that we need some travel to ensure the momentum of the project, then definitely it's a direct cost. Okay. So coming back to the same chart, which we have seen a lot of times in the training session, right? So we have completed the knowledge, the key areas like scope, schedule, and cost, the three heavy items we have done. The next one is about quality, right? So quality, we are not doing it right now because quality also is a little bit bigger topic. And I would like to just go with the light topics now. So we have finished scope, schedule, cost. They are the heavy terms. And now let's go to resources and communication, finish them first. And then we will touch base with quality and come back to risk. Or we can finish off risk first, I will say, and then go back to quality. Okay. So the heavy topics now which are remaining here is risk, and quality will also be a little bit heavy topic. Procurement is one of the topic which is not heavy, but I will say that's one of the topic which is very gray in nature. If you have not done if you have not been engaged to a project where you have personally not done any kind of like procurement or contract kind of stuff, it will be very difficult for you to know that. And finally, stakeholder is something which we have seen it like in detail. So our next topic in the knowledge area will be resources. So let's talk about resource management. Now the topic here is very simple, very easy topic, I will say, compared to scope, cost, time, quality, and risk. But the good news is that in the exam, you are going to get at least a couple of questions on resource management. Pretty much easy to conquer those questions, very easy to fetch the marks. It's just that you have to know the topic very well. From the hard copy book which you have got, just read it nicely as a literature kind of thing. Just read it nicely once or twice. And the key things will be discussed in this sessions as well. So resource management, first thing first, what do we mean by a resource in a project? So resources, when it comes to your mind, when somebody talks about resource, you kind of think a human body, right? A kind of a human being. But resource in a project is more than general human resources. We are talking about anything and everything which is needed to complete the project. It can be the material, it can be the supplies, it can be the equipment which you need to complete the project. So anything which is needed, okay, to complete the project is basically a resource in the project. It can be software, it can be hardware, it can be anything, and your people in the team to ensure that your project is being completed. Now, when we talk about teams, so we are going to talk about a lot of team stuff here, right? So resource management in the PMP exam will revolve only about teams, okay? The team which are going to work with you, the project team. So project team, unless and until specified in the exam, always know that project team refers to a geographically and culturally diverse team which is spread across the world. Okay, so PMP exam always assumes that the project manager is managing a multi-million dollar project, a very large and complex project, and the team is spanned across the globe with different background of culture uh, with the candidates. Okay, so That's what the team means. If not, the exam has told you specifically this team is a local team and they are all based out in this particular region of the world. That's a different story. Otherwise, your team building will take a lot of good skills, a lot of leadership qualities to ensure that you can do a good team building when the situation will be your team is like dispersed around the globe and they are all having a culturally different kind of background. Okay, when it comes to the resources or the resource management or team development, okay, let's see, the PM will be having some set kind of or responsibilities. So people who are in this company in Amazon, for us, it's very simple to tell that in one single LP, right? And that is called hire and develop. So basically, we hire and we develop the resources which we are having on the team, and that's how we ensure that we are meeting the performance high bar. So if we break down that hire and develop leadership principle into multiple activities, you are going to get a crux like the first point is the PM has to identify the number of the resources they need to complete the project. And how do they get that? Very simple. We have seen how the scope is there, right? The work breakdown structure and the cost or the time wise, we have seen how do we break down that entire scope into a network diagram, right? And from there, you're going to get if this is the network diagram and if this many hours of work has to be done from the start to the finish time, or the early finish and early or the early start and early finish and or the late start and late finish, then definitely you will be knowing what are the different kinds of float which you need throughout the network diagram and how many hours you need per activity to complete. And then those hours can be broken down like how many man hours you need and how many resources you need to engage to complete those man hours. It's very simple, right? We have done that in detail. So basically, the PM, the project manager's job is to ensure that first of all, find out what are the skills they need and how many people they need to complete the work in the project. Okay, once they know that, then they will be hiring. Now, since they are not the functional managers, they will not be opening a requisition and hiring and all that. Hiring in the sense that they will be getting the people onboarded to the project team. Now, that can happen from the existing teams in the company. They will reach out to different functional managers and say that, hey, for what, from the engineering team I need two people for the project. Okay, from the project management team I need one person in the project. From the architectural team we need one guy in the project, and so on and so forth, right? So basically he will onboard the team if there is a need of a resource, and maybe that those kind of skills are not there in the current company. Then a talk of hiring will be happening, and the project manager will be reaching out to the proper functional manager to ensure a hiring is done. And importantly, the project manager will also be a part of the hiring loop. Okay, they may not be the hiring manager, but they will definitely be a part of the interview loop. So that's how the team is being built. Okay, and then we have got define the roles. Once you build the team, like you have got 10 guys in your team or 10 people in the team, in the project team I'm talking about, then you definitely will be having a functional manager who the team reports to. But during the work of the project, the people will be reporting to the project manager in a dotted line. Now, roles means you have to build a RACI chart, which we all know that you have to have the people who are assigned or who are being responsible or who are being informed in the different areas of the project. Also, you can define the roles in a way like, this person will be the developer in the team, and this person will be the tester in the team, this guy will be in the design part of the team, or this guy or this person will be talking to the customers and the clients to ensure the business requirements are captured. uh, this person will be we will be going to make sure that the deployments are done on time and so on, right? So basically you will be having the different nomenclature done in the team as per the project and as per the skill set of the resources in the areas in which they are bringing in strength. Now, one of the key areas of a project manager is to develop a reward and recognition system, a R&R. Why? Because that builds the motivation in the team. People's zeal to work well, not always, because of money. So money part is done, right? The contract is signed off. They know their monthly salary or the compensation. But the point is beyond that. the motivation works in a way like a pat in the back, okay, and you reward a person in front of all the people. Now always know the bottom rule which a PM should know, that when you are talking positive about a person or you're appreciating a person, you do that in front of a crowd, in front of all the team members. And when you have to do a positive, constructive kind of a discussion with a team member, always do it in a 1:1, not in front of the team. Okay. Now, these are the basic things which a PM should be learning and keep on doing this day in, day out. And these all skills will slowly build up in his muscle and they will ensure that he makes a good leader in the future. And that's why you will see that most of the good managers, they have probably came from a project management or a program management kind of background, because they have gone through all this. They already have managed a set of resource. Maybe they have not directly reported to this person, that's all right, but still the essence and the core sense of managing a team will be there, and from there you scale up to become a people manager. Okay. So defining roles and create the reward and recognition system, of course, and finally train and motivate team. Of course, yes, you have to give some training to the team. Now, training can be done in two ways. One part is, of course, the onboarding, which we call it in this company as embark, right? A guy is going to join in the team. They will be having the basic road path, set for them. They will be knowing that who they have to sync, um, who the key stakeholders are, and they will be having the first few weeks having some meetings with the key stakeholders of the different team managers or the different team key focals, and they will be knowing that, okay, this is my ecosystem and within which I have to work, right? So that's like the basic part. But more than that, as and when you're getting deeper into the project, you might be seeing that, okay, this person knows probably the coding part like very well, but maybe they have to know this part of the stack as well. Maybe they are the coders for the network automation, but maybe they are not very good in the networking knowledge. Maybe they have to understand in depth about, let's say, a routing protocol like OSPF, how it works. Because if you do not know the raw piece of it, the manual part of it, it will be difficult for you to automate that with writing some script, right? So these are the different areas the PM will analyze, find the gaps, and he will fill in those gaps with proper trainings or getting a buddy for you, getting a shadow for you, and ensure that you are performing because you are being given the correct strength, or at the correct time, the correct help is being given to you, right? And you motivate the team. So motivation is one of the big topics in resource management. We have got multiple motivational theories, and they are like very easy. So number one, and number two is that you get to see those questions in the exam. So I will share that in the next module, that is session 16, and we will go through all the motivational theories one by one. We'll understand them and we'll see the difference between them. They're very easy, like I said, but you have to make some notes there, or you have to go through your hard copy book. But why I keep on saying that resource management is easy, because it is not as you know backbreaking like uh, going through the scope, time, or cost piece of the project, right? It's more about very simple, very logical, but you have to know it. And fetching marks in this area, like this one is one of the easy areas where the fetching marks will be easy and in a very quick time. You really don't have to read a question like couple of times to get the proper answer, like probably one quick glance and you can have the correct answer. So which saves your time, and that time which you are going to save in the sections is the time which you are going to use in the tougher sections. Because the exam, like I said, you cannot spend equal amount of time in every question, but in some questions, if you can get the answer within few seconds, that really helps you, because you will be having some questions where you have to spend some couple of minutes or more than that to find the proper answer for those difficult questions. Okay, motivation is one part which you're going to cover later. And finally, performance tracking. Very important, right? You start a team, you develop a team, you groom the team, and then you give some set tasks to the team, and then you see that, okay, how are we doing week on week or month on month? What were the gaps? Did we meet all the planned task as per the actual completion of the task? Are we going as per the correct velocity or run rate which we planned in the beginning, or there is some flaw there, some lag is there, or are we even going beyond that? So have a check on all that, the performance key metrics or the key parameters has to be defined by the project manager, and then the metrics has to be tracked and also be shared with the key stakeholders. That tells you about the health of the project basically. What we said in the past, sections like our CPI, SPI, are they above one? If they're above one, excellent. If they're one, then also it's pretty good, right? But if it's below one, then there is a concern. Then you have to take some corrective action to ensure that they are getting back on the track. Okay, team building. Team building is again one of the common spaces where you will be getting some questions on the exam. The questions will not be very straightforward, but definitely if you know the Tuckman ladder, it's very simple to answer, and definitely you have to know the sequence and what each term of the Tuckman ladder does. So Tuckman ladder is nothing but a very structured approach to build a team. Okay, every team which you hire, which you onboard, that will go through 5 phases as per the Tuckman ladder. Okay, and these 5 phases are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Now, if you know these 5 stages very, very well, have got a crystal clear clarity about these 5 stages, that it's very, very simple to uh, ace the exam on these sections. Okay, so let's see what they are. Now, forming means that when you have hired the team, you have just formed a team, right? Maybe the day one of the team people, and you get them all into one room. That is called formation of the team. You probably are just passing a quick round table, like, hey, let's have a quick intro with your name and what you do and so on, right? Finally, after forming is storming. Storming is something which is called friction. If you bring a set of 5 people in a team, let's say 5 people or 10 people or 20 people, you build a brand new team, it is 100% going to happen that disagreements will happen between the team members on the initial time. People will disagree, they will be having a friction on multiple things because they all have came from different backgrounds, right? Somebody would have come from some server background, so somebody would have come from some core IT, somebody from coding, somebody from security, compliance, legal, the list goes on and on, right? But all these people, when you keep them under one room, maybe not a physical room, but I'm trying to say virtually also one room, and you talk, you will feel that a lot of frictions are happening and people will not agree. So storming is the disagreement stage. Now, the next step is norming. Norming is when people have settled down. Okay, the friction is gone. People have settled down. They have built a good working culture amongst themselves, and they trust each other. And importantly, they also trust the PM. They look at the PM as a leader. That is called norming. And finally, we are getting into the step called performing. Now, this is the most desired state of the team members in a project where people are performing. People are delivering actually, okay, and they are giving out what exactly was planned in the project. The velocity of the project is high, the quality is high, and all the stakeholders are happy. That is what performing. And the last one is adjourning. Like I said, in a matrix kind of a company, your project people, they will not be a part of your project, of your team for a lifetime, right? Once the project is over, they will be unplugged and they will be put into some other project. Okay, their functional managers will remain the same, but the project will keep on changing, right? So they will be unplugged from your project. Now, this looks very simple, right? Forming and then storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Very, very simple. Now, point is that also try to get the deeper meaning of this. Now, let's say storming. If you are having a very matured team of people, okay, your time between storming and norming will be less. Okay, the gap. So if you have hired a team within 2 weeks of time, you should quickly go through storming, and within 2 weeks of time, your team should be settled down. Okay, the more mature the team, the more leadership capability of the PM is there, the storming time will be very, very less. Okay, but if the team is storming for quite some time, they don't agree for a pretty long time, maybe more than a month, it is difficult to get the deliverables of the project done. right? And it is not only because the team members are less mature or something or with diverse kind of background, it's more with the leadership quality of the project manager. You will see the more successful project managers or even managers or the people managers, their team will be always into the performing model. Okay, they have done with all kind of norming, forming, storming, and all the stuff, right? So the point is that uh, you know it depends on the effectiveness or the or the leading capability of the PM to ensure that the team is moving past the storming stage very quickly. Okay, this also happens in companies where you have got some existing set of people and you're getting new hires. Okay, now there can be that you're getting a new hire. Let's say you're getting a person who is very good in cloud computing. Okay, and you already have an existing set of architects in the team, maybe 3 4 people who already are delivering on that well. Now there can be a sense of threat in the mind of people, like, okay, we've found some new hires who are coming from some other company with tons of experience. Now will we be sidelined, or when the annual appraisal happens, then that point of time, uh, will my pointers will go down because now we are having a equally capable guy? So those kind of thoughts will come in the mind, and it's up to the PM how mature the PM is to ensure that the he takes the team through the path of the storming very quickly and then lands the team into the norming. The expectations which the PM is going to set with the team, the way he's going to talk with the team in the team meetings and in the one is to one, these all are going to ensure that the storming hump is quickly getting over, quickly getting done, and people reach the norming space. Okay, as a PM, okay, we all will want our team to get into the norming stage as quickly as possible. And the teams where you visualize this is not happening, and this can be the question in the exam, where the the teams have formed but the storming phase is going on for quite some time, then that point of time it is probably a time for the PM also to revise their skills or to double check their leadership skills or to find out what exactly he can do to solve the problem, and probably take the help from his manager as well, some kind of a friendly advice or help, like this is what is going on in the team and he's not able to control the storming. Okay, so remember this order. Forming is forming the team, storming is the friction in the team, the disagreement in the team, norming is when the team settled down and the work culture and the work relationship is pretty good in the team. Apart from that, the team also has got a respect for the project manager, right? And then finally the performing, where we all want to be, okay, as quickly as possible. And finally the team getting unplugged from the project, adjourning. Looks very simple, but make sure that you get the absolute points in the exam for this. It's a very simple topic. Just practice a couple of times, make some notes, and that's all. You really don't have to break your head into this. These are easy topics on which the marks can be fetched very, very easily. Now let's come down to a big topic called conflict. Now, when a team will be there, conflicts will be there. Okay, it's not just about you finished off the forming and the storming and the conflicts are over, right? Beyond storming of the team, also conflict will be there. As long as the project exists, conflict will exist. And the conflict is not only between your team members, the conflict will be between the key stakeholders, you and the functional manager, which keeps on happening, or the key stakeholders and the functional manager, or between all the stakeholders, and so on. Okay, the conflict will be always happening. And when we talk about conflict, first of all, we are going to have a look into what are the top reasons of conflict in a project. That is one part which we have to get very straight. And the second part is about how do me as a PM resolve the conflict with my team members, right? Now, the second part I'm going to take you through the next session. But first part is the important one, okay? Just think about it. What are the top things which you believe are the reasons for conflict in a project? So let me show you the screen. Now, these are the 7 reasons in the ascending order which are being considered as the reasons for conflict. And if you look into the pointers, the top three, like schedule and project priorities and resources, they are not matching with what you would have thought, right? Because normally many people think the point number, 7, which is there, the least point, okay, that is a personality, that is the cause of conflict. Okay, so many people think that because of the personality issue, the conflict is there, but actually that is the least reason to have a conflict in a project. The conflict, the number one reason is that when your schedule is unrealistic, okay, and because of that, like, you do not have the resources in the ground level, but you have prepared a schedule, and then you are going to have a conflict with the different internal partner teams who you have to do a handshake and get the work done, but probably the resources are not there. Okay, example can be in many ways. Let's say that you are in CIB world. Okay, I'm talking about, let's say you are doing a LCR and RTO, right? Now these two programs can be having a lot of unrealistic schedules, which are going to be, because of the resources is not in the ground level, or they are being aligned either one of the any, or maybe the vendors there, like the LVC people, they are also not aligned to both of them, or maybe one of them, right? So that leads to a conflict because the schedules are unrealistic. Number two is the project priorities. Again, two projects in a company, if they're going in a similar kind of a priority and they both need the similar kind of the resources, then definitely that will lead to a conflict. So project priorities are defined by the strategy of the company, right? The vision of the company and the mission of the company, they basically, define the overall strategy of the company in terms of the programs and operation and projects and portfolios. And from there, it boils down slowly to the ground level in the tactical way. So priorities of the project, maybe it is form of the so maybe it's coming straight from the mission of the company, but there may be a very influential stakeholder, let's say a senior VP, who wants his or her project to go in a very high priority, okay, because they have got influence with many people, they have got teams that standbys, and they would like to get it going. And when that happens, then again a friction will happen, that you already have got a set amount of X projects to be finished in that year, and you're also getting this request from a senior guy, an influential guy, to get his project done at the same time with the same, resources, without any further hiring, right? That will lead to a conflict. The third one is about the resources. So resources is definitely a major reason of the conflict, because, like I said, at one point of time, if multiple projects are going to use the same resources during the same timelines, then definitely it will lead to conflict. Okay. Very common, scene. I will share with you one example. Like when I used to work with IBM, that point of time we used to have a server building. Okay, and any of the infrastructure programs that's going in IBM globally, they have to depend on the server built-in, because all the infra programs, they need either a physical server or a virtual server to be deployed. Now the build team, though the build team was pretty much huge, but they cannot cater to all the programs at one shot. And that's where the project managers, they will be like, you know the moment they know that they are being aligned to the project, the first thing will be probably to reach out to build team and say that, okay, I will be approximately needing 4 or 5 people from your team from this time to this time. So everybody, like, kind of, psychs out, and they want to get the resources on their plate first. And then there are choices, like I need to have a SME, or I need to have like to have a senior resource from your team, because the project is far more large and complex to be handled by a junior resource or a new buy. So all these things keep on happening, and being in this company, you also might have seen that these are very common reasons for any kind of conflict in the project. So schedule, priorities in the project, in the company, and the resource. These three are the top contenders, and then followed by the other four, which are which are not the top ones, but we should be knowing them. Number one is the technical opinion. So maybe you know looking at the infrastructure change, maybe you want to change the let's say the access layer, right, with a certain kind of a switch, which you think will be working exceptionally well and the cost will be low. With somebody who thinks, no, let's go with the current OEM itself because that gives you a lot more flexibility and so on. So it depends actually, the technical opinions has also led to a lot of conflict, but it depends at what point of time during the beginning or overall as a company, from the engineering standpoint or from somebody else or from the customer standpoint. Because from the engineering standpoint, there might be a defined structure and design to drive this. But when you go back to the end user or the customers or the business, they may not be happy with the design. So finally, we find out that maybe the two-way communication was not there between the business and the engineering teams, and those are the ways to resolve this kind of conflict. So technical opinion is definitely one. Again, if you find a change in the technical advisor, so let's say that your project is a infrastructure or maybe a let's say cloud program team. If you had a cloud SME or a person who is going to lead the entire portfolio of cloud with the help of his or her cloud SME skills. If that person steps out of the company for some reason and we hire a new person there, then the chances are very high that the technical direction will be changed, and that will lead to a lot of friction within the projects, existing projects and the new ones. Process, we have seen that again and again, right? Some people like the process, some people say that this process is too rigid or too flexible, let's change it. It keeps on happening. So processes are something which should be reviewed in a timely manner. They should not be just written once and forgot. As per the requirement of a time or a customer, we should be flexible enough to review the process and to change it if needed, or even to completely dismantle it if needed, right? Not broken, but what I'm trying to say is that a process can be completely scratched off if it's a pretty old one or a pretty obsolete one, which is not giving any value to the current system. Cost again is a reason for conflict because you might have given a cost to your senior management in the beginning, looking at the entire budgeting which you have done. But in the middle of the project, maybe you entertained one new feature by the customer that would have elevated the cost, and now your senior manager or your finance team is not agreeing to give you that money. Or the other way around is that a company like which I worked last time, like Boeing, where we used to get a charge line for the entire year. Charge line means a amount which is being fixed by the company, which is taken from the number of the projects which you have got from the beginning of the year, and you get a charge line. And every time you want to raise a purchase order, you just put that charge line number on the purchase order. Okay, so end of the year, when all the purchase orders which are linked to that charge line, they are being pulled up in a report, and we can see how much we have spent as compared to how much we planned. Okay, normally it goes always like below the plan because we always add the contingency, but sometimes we may not be adding the contingency. We may forget that we got some contract employees in the program whose contract was supposed to be renewed in the middle of the project, and these guys, the salary would have gone higher, the cost would have gone higher because of many reasons, right? And since that was not taken into account, now the cost has increased and the finance will stop you. And in fact, in many companies, if they release a charge line in the beginning of the year, there is no way that the charge line can be modified if not a very senior person, not even a director, but a person of the VP level will be stepping in, and they will be agreeing with the new inflated charges. So cost is, of course, that's again one more point, but well, like one of the least points. And the least points for conflict is the personality, which most of us actually think that that is the number one reason, but no, that's not the number one reason at all. So personality traits, each person will be having a different way, of communication or facing challenges, because that's based on their background, their cultural, diversity, their educational background, their past company experience, and so on and so forth. So what I want to say is that your personality is not uh, a reason for a conflict in a project. It may come up sometimes, but it's the least reason of conflict. Okay, like somebody is like pretty much rude in a meeting, or somebody is like cutting short people. They don't allow other person to speak up much. They just cut them short in middle. They are not good listeners. These are the personality traits which can bring in some conflict, but they can be corrected also very easily, very very swiftly. But this is not, but these are not the major reasons for the conflict in the project. Okay, so we went with all the 7 points of the reasons for conflict. And like I said, the next session I'm going to take you through on how to resolve the conflicts and what are the different techniques and ways a PM will use to resolve the conflicts. All right, with that, we came to the end of the session. Let's do a quick wrap up of what we learned. First point, a resource in a project is more than the human resources. It includes the material, equipment, supplies, and anything else needed to complete the project. Correct? Second is, of course, the Tuckman ladder. The Tuckman ladder is something, it's a structured way to develop a team, and please ensure that you know the Tuckman ladder in and out. It's a very easy question. It will be a kind of a shame if you are not able to answer questions on resource management, especially on the Tuckman ladder, right? Uh, so the pointers are, or the ways to develop the team is that first you form, and then it goes through storming, which is natural, and then you go through the norming, which is the desired state, and finally you go through performing, which is the absolute desired state of the project and the project manager, and finally they adjourn, right? So forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. And the top three reasons for conflict, this also can be a question in the exam, but in a little bit subtle way, little bit tricky way, but always know that schedule, project priorities, and resource sharing are the top reasons of conflict in a project. All right, with that, we came to the end of the session 15. I hope you liked the session. I wish you all a great day and a great time. Thank you for watching.